You are watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television. This is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into The Sports Source. Happy to have you join us on this cold, rainy, dreary day. Sit down for the next hour. We're going to talk all about Tennessee's walloping, 50-16 of Kentucky yesterday. The Vols now up to 500 on the season. One win from a bowl game. Huge game with Missouri coming up on Saturday. A lot of stuff to cover today. We will cover it all, trust me, with the biggest group of analysts in town. Let's start it. First segment brought to you by our friends at Phil Cobble, Fine Homes and Land. Folks, this team is trusted in East Tennessee and has been for 38 years. If you're looking to sell your home, Phil and his crew can help you price it correctly, and then they use every technology available to make sure your house is seen by the right buyers. Go to philcobblehomes.com to learn more about how you can also get $1,000 in gifts if you sell or buy your home with Phil Cobble, Fine Homes and Land. philcobblehomes.com. Check it out. Possibly the opportunity, if you sell, buy your home through Phil Cobble and his crew, you can get $1,000 in gifts. Not bad. Phil Cobble, Fine Homes and Land. All right, we have a packed show, as I mentioned. Let's go ahead and show you what's on today's show. Old school romp. I think John Adams had it right in the Sentinel, saying it looked like something from the 90s. It did. We'll talk about Dobbs and the defense right off the top. Missing men. We'll discuss the guys who won't be around for the Missouri game, possibly longer. Tennessee potent pass rush. How have they come up with that in the last couple of weeks? Overall direction of the program. When's the last time Tennessee's program looked to be on this much of an ascent? We'll discuss. We'll look at improvements year to year, but also the improvements from September to now. Is there an area of this team that isn't improved since September? We'll talk about that. Plenty of Missouri talk. That is a serious game. And then the Cavaliers line, of course, is how we'll close it out. All right, let me welcome in the panel. We got Bob Hodge, freelance contributor to the Knoxville News Sentinel. We got Will Overstreet, former Vol defensive lineman, former NFL defensive lineman. I'm going to stumble that around because I just wanted to say, and he drove all the way from Atlanta to be here today. Thank you. Then we got Jimmy Himes, of course, the host of Sports Talk and many other programs on Sports Radio WNML. And down there from Tennessee Golf Central and many other publications, you have Mr. Chuck Cavaleris. All right, gentlemen, opening drive segment. Let's open up by talking about Josh Dobbs. I mean, he's quickly become the story of this season. He's becoming one of the best stories in the Southeastern Conference. You looked at it after Alabama, well, they hadn't prepared for him. You go against South Carolina, well, they can't stop anybody. Kentucky's defense isn't great. Yeah, let's throw that out the window. This kid's performing week after week after week, regardless of the situation. Very impressive by Josh Dobbs.
Well, I'm really impressed with him, and it's a combination of a lot of things with him, his running ability, his passing ability. I thought he made a tremendous move in that Kentucky game where he dodged a couple of rushers and kept his eyes downfield and hit Pig Howard for a first down. I thought that was impressive. He's got a lot of poise. He's led drives at the end of the half and at the end of the game for scores. I really like what he's doing, and he has made Jalen Hurd better. He's made the receivers better. He's made the offensive line better. He's made the entire offense better. By making the offense better, he's made the defense better too, I think.
And you watch other games in the SEC, and how many quarterbacks in this league are playing better than Josh Dobbs right now? Mm-hmm. You would be hard pressed to find, one, two. Yep. I mean, it's really impressive. Like Jimmy said, the poise, and I had said too, how the whole offense, everybody looks better, and the options he gives you on plays, run, pass, whatever.
Yeah, suddenly not as many people complaining about play selection.
Right.
No.
When it works, good play call. When it doesn't work, bad play call. He makes a lot of things work.
Well, his arm strength, wasn't there slight questions about his arm strength coming out of high school? Some people didn't think he had the strongest arm in the world.
There were, but I'm not sure why.
I was about to say, he threw some passes yesterday that were very impressive just as far as the zip that he put on the ball. And then the accuracy questions that I think were kind of in the background when he was redshirting. People were talking about his lack of accuracy. I mean, he missed a couple passes. Quarterbacks are going to miss a couple passes. Okay. But he also threw some outstanding passes, one in particular to Pig Howard. And I think the game was just at that point getting out of hand. It was a fantastic throw. So you add in all the other things he brings, and then his arm, I remember back, people said it wasn't that strong. It looks like he's got a really good arm to me.
He has a great arm, but I mean, overall, I think he's just the demeanor he comes into the game with, of him, his confidence is just going out to everybody on the team. And the team has stepped up another level with playing with him. I think overall as well, if you look at what he's doing, it's just the game seems slowed down. And that's usually a guy that has more experience than him, but it may just because of how smart he is off the field, that we know he's a really bright guy, that he's just able to take in all that information and seems to be processing it and just looking around and say, what's the best decision I can make right now? So overall, I mean, I think, you know, he made all the players on the field look better. He makes the coaching staff look a lot better too right now. So they could be saying that too, that he makes them look a lot smarter at making these plays as well.
Absolutely. There were a couple of times. You haven't seen many jailbreaks the last few weeks. There were 1 or 2 yesterday. He got out of it. I mean, so in terms of making everybody look better, that's a perfect example. It wasn't one guy coming through. It was about 3 guys on him, and he still just kind of stepped aside it, made a play. I want to show you some numbers comparing Dobbs this year to Dobbs last year. He played 5 games last year against 3 top 5 opponents. He's played in only 3 games this year. His completion percentage is up about 3 full points. Passing yards total, he's already thrown for 100 more yards than he did last year in fewer games. Look at the passing yards per attempt. A pretty feeble 5.7 last year. You're up to a healthy 7.9 now. The big one, though, touchdown to interception ratio. 2 TDs to 6 interceptions last year, 7 to 2 the other way around. Look at that quarterback rating jump. He's even having a little bit more success running the football, about a half yard better per carry. 4 touchdowns already on the ground. You look at the numbers, and it's clear that Josh Dobbs is different than he was last year. And I think we'll talk about this later in the show, but Worley, before he got hit 56 times more, he looked better year to year. Dobbs looks better year to year. I think that's one where you can start to put a check mark by the fact that these guys know how to improve quarterbacks.
Butch Jones said quarterbacks look better in the second year in their system than they do in the first year in their system. And even though this is going to be less than a full year for Dobbs, I think that that's paying off. And what really impresses me about him is what he does to the defense. You sit there and you watch Kentucky's linebackers sometimes, and they were frozen. It was a passing play. They were froze. If I drop back, he's going to run. If I go forward, he may run, or I leave my guy wide open. So I think that's what else Dobbs is now. He's sort of dictating what the defense has to do against him.
And that's the biggest help that he provides the offensive line, is that just by him being that ability to run, he slows everybody's reaction down and makes them think.
And he's running the offense the way a zone read offense is supposed to look. And I give credit for Worley for what he was able to do.
Right.
But that was a square peg in a round hole.
That's right.
He's running the offense the way the zone read's supposed to look.
Yeah, I mean, that's even if Worley had tried to run, even if he'd run a few more times, maybe that would have helped things. Wouldn't have helped things like Dobbs has. I mean, it's just it's not the right guy. Quickly, very quickly now, defense. We said last week that okay, they took a little bit of a hit against Alabama and South Carolina. Is that a product of the fact you're playing 2 pretty good offenses? Is that a product of the fact that you may be fatigued? I think the answer is yes. It was a product of both. Kentucky's offense nowhere near as good as South Carolina or Alabama. At the same time, they looked rested after that open date. Kentucky's the one that's played 8 in a row, and they looked it. I think that, is there anything else you saw from defense that got them back in the right direction, Will?
Didn't have to run as much zone. They went back to man-to-man. This is not a very good zone team still. That hasn't been the part they've been able to really grasp and understand and play together as a unit, because you have to play as a unit in that. But so overall, not having to play zone, having the rest, playing against this kind of offense, and obviously the pass rush, it makes a big difference.
And we'll discuss how they're doing that a little bit later. I want to quickly ask you guys, give me 30 seconds or so here. Anybody who wants it can. You're playing a mobile quarterback next week in Matty Mock, who ran for 114 yards against Tennessee last week. A lot of cornerbacks out there will tell you that if you got a running quarterback, better play zone so we can kind of have an eye on him if he takes off. Because if you're in man and he takes off, the only way you know he's taking off is because the fan reacts. Any concerns, any thoughts that Tennessee may have to go to a little bit more zone with Mock back there possibly running around?
I think you can mix it up a little bit. You don't have to strictly go one way or the other, and I think that would definitely help Tennessee. The other thing I think is helping their defense too is they've developed a little bit of depth with some of these young guys. You don't worry so much now when somebody goes.
John, in watching the Missouri game at Texas A&M last night, it looked like he's more of a quarterback, at least last night, in trying to buy some time to make a play downfield than he is in trying to pick up the yards and running.
All right, very good, guys. When we come back, we're going to talk about the injury to Matt Crowder. Did not look good. what is the impact on an offensive line that has finally seen to put things together? Now you take the starting center out of it. And Dobbs and Bajakian and their performance in 2-minute drills. We'll discuss plenty more to come on the Sports Source. Come on back.
Like our set? Turn to Benedict Construction.